There you go. Okay, that's where we are. Okay, Ngapa means fifth point, fifth of the 5 points, which is we finally reached tonglen. Okay, tonglen. All right, and Ngapa de la Tene, the beginning there is very important because ten means depending on or based on what? He says based on that. Based on the 4 steps that came before that, okay? So based on the 4 steps that we've been through, which is what, just for someone who's just tuning in, what was the first step?
Equal rights.
Equal rights. Second one?
The disadvantage.
Yeah, it sucks to take care of yourself all the time. Third? It's fun to take care of other people. 4? Yeah, put yourself in other shoes, okay? And look back at yourself, right? Okay. All right, good. And now we're ready to do tonglen, okay? Tonglen gomsul means how do you meditate on tonglen? And the Tibetan word gom, there, B-S-G-O-M, what's the background meaning of that? Yeah, to get used to something. Okay, so the Tibetan word for meditation is to get used to something. So this week you should be doing those exchange of yourself and others on 3 levels every day, or it's not kom. Get it? You don't get used to it, and it doesn't become part of your behavior. The whole point of being in retreat is to do something over and over again artificially, so that when you get out of retreat, it's natural, okay? When you change an attitude from artificial to natural, that's gom. That's meditation. That's the meaning of meditation. The Sanskrit word is even more sexy. Bhavana. Bhavana. So B-H-A-V means to be. The word be comes from B-H-A-V. So bhav means to be. The ancient Indo-European is B-H-E-U, to become. And then ana means maker. So bhav ana means makes you turn into that. The word for meditation in Sanskrit means a practice which makes you turn into something new. It's very beautiful. The Sanskrit word for meditation, bhavana, means makes you turn into something new. It's very cool. The Tibetan, you develop a habit. The Sanskrit, you become a new person. It's very beautiful. Okay. All right. Gomso Ningje Mikpat Sel Dutene. Ningje means karuna, means compassion. Okay, compassion. What's the pieces of the Tibetan word? Ning is heart, J is like J Rinpoche, king of hearts. It's a beautiful word, okay? The Sanskrit, karuna, comes into Russian. Russian is very heavily based on Sanskrit. So krish, автомобиль krish, dom, krisha, the roof. And karuna means to cover somebody or to protect somebody, and that's compassion. It's a beautiful word, karuna. Ningje mikpatsel duten means focus on compassion. When you're feeling compassion, it means you want to learn of tonglen. What's the land of tonglen? Yeah, that means take, okay, take. So you want to take. The feeling in your heart when you're doing the lemba part, when you're doing the taking part, it should be compassion. I can't bear to see you in pain. I would like to take it away from you. Okay. By the way, it is never sacrificial. It is never. So get that out of your head. It's not me or you. It's not somebody has to suffer. It's better if I suffer. That's one of the most irritating, unfriendly practices when someone tells you, someone had to eat the bad donut and I took it, so you didn't have to, and you're like, Jesus, why don't we just split the good one, So it's not this kind of practice where you get to make other people feel guilty that you took the bad thing, and you're supposed to work it out like a good negotiation where both parties come out ahead. Okay, there's not this kind of I will sacrifice what I want and give you what you want. That kind of thinking is primitive. Okay, that's not helpful. Okay, so Tumba Lemba, and then what will be the aspect of the feeling in your mind when you do the Tongwa? Yeah, it's love. It's love. In Tibetan, it's Jampa. In Sanskrit, Maitri. Maitri comes from all these words, mich, which means to mix things, mishat in Russian, to mix with people. Okay, Maitri, Jampa, mikpa tsel de tene. Tsel de ten means, it's a difficult word. Tsel de ten means the flavor of the practice should be love, or the flavor of the practice should be compassion. When you're doing tong, when you're taking, it's compassion. When you're giving, it's love. Okay. Tong tene tong jang jang. What's this? Jang is the jong in lojong. Practice. Okay. Get good at it. Okay. Jang means practice. Okay. And then he says it's Sawar tonglen nipo pelmar jang. Say tonglen. Nipo, Belmar, Jang. Okay, good. Tsawa means the root text. And he keeps quoting books and not telling you what he's quoting. Okay, so luckily you have Grandpa Mike using Grandpa John's database. And I can find stuff, in a few seconds. You can search 3 million pages in less than 3 seconds. Because of the way we designed it in 1987, whatever. Okay, Tonglen Nipo Pelmar Jang. Tonglen, Nipo means those two, giving and taking, those two. What's Pelma? We lost a beautiful nun here, the most wonderful person, Pelma. But that's a different spelling. That spelling is DPAL, which means Shri, which means shining because of burning. And my Lama named her for a specific reason, Pelma. But there's a different Pelma, S-P-E-L, which means to alternate. And those of you who have done the lion stance meditation, we practiced Pelma. We practiced jumping between levels, okay? That's kind of an advanced meditation practice where you jump between different levels of subtlety of the mind, okay? Purposely. You come out 2 levels, go deep 3 levels, come back 4, that's called Pelmar Jang, okay? What's it mean in Tonglen? Yeah, give, take, give, give, take, give, take. It's like get used to switching, okay? Get used to switching. And that's called fluency in meditation, okay? And that's a certain Xinjiang, right? Xinjiang. So Xinjiang means like fluency in a foreign language, where you speak it with perfect accent, okay? Xinjiang means there's a skill in meditation where you don't just, like a dumb ox, go as deep as you can. There's where you can play between different levels of focus. You can be creative at one moment, then switch to single pointed, then switch to a feeling for all living beings, then switch between them quickly. And that's real mastery of your mind. Okay, that's real meditation. It's not the ability only to go deep. It's the ability to go where you want to go, when you want to go. And that ability leaks out into your everyday life. Like if you're a programmer or something, you can quickly shift focus and go deeper when you have a problem. When you hit a problem, you can pause and go much deeper. And then extracting the mind from the problem and quitting the problem and moving on is also a meditation skill. Okay, so basically what he's saying here is Balmar Jang means get good at it. Your mind should be, what do you call it? At your beck and call. Yeah, your mind does what you want it to. I like to think of your mind as a puppy that you bought at the pet store, or even better, you pick them up at the animal rescue, and they're kind of untrained, and they pee in the house and stuff like that. And then you train the dog, and your mind, before you learn to meditate, is very similar to a bad dog from the animal rescue, And then the whole purpose of meditation is to train your mind and become like a good dog, and to obey what you want and to listen to what you say. Okay, so your mind when you start is like a bad dog, and then the purpose of meditation is to make it more. Why? Well, then you can be more creative in your work situation problem, and you can think of what other people need better, and then the company itself starts to be more successful. If you get a cadre means a small secret group inside the company. If you have a cadre of people doing tonglen, that company is probably going to be successful. Okay, and they don't have to be Buddhist. Pelma, in fact, was a devout Christian. I went to many Christian classes with her when she started out. And it's not the point to make everybody Buddhist, but the point is to get, if you can, in your company or in your nonprofit organization, if they're all infected with this virus called tonglen, then the organization becomes wildly successful. Okay, it's kind of beautiful. And they don't have to. We're gonna get a part here where he says he keeps using the word anonymous. Let your tonglen be anonymous. Okay, don't advertise it. Don't go around saying, "Oh, I'm trying to think of what you want." It's hard, You're supposed to do it. It is a tantric practice, sangha. It's a secret practice. It's supposed to be done quietly. Okay. The only way you can tell a person doing tonglen is that they smile a lot. Okay. They don't talk too much about it. Okay. Shesumba. Deni ngame samba deni gongpel tu chepa o. We are taking the steps we had before and we are magnifying them. Okay, he says step 5, which is exchanging self and others, is an advanced version of the first 4. Okay, it's the natural growth of the first 4. Okay, then Pabongka Rinpoche in his lecture, he's speaking to a lot of people who spent a lot of time. They didn't have cell phones, so they had to actually depend on their own mind. And they memorized all these books. He just mentions a line, and everybody knows what book he's talking about. We have to look it up. So I looked it up for you. And here's the verses he's quoting. And I'll go straight there. He's quoting the Lojong Dunduma, which is the 7-point Lojong. Lojong means developing bodhicitta. Okay, this lo in Lojong means bodhicitta. Jong means practice it, get good at it. So Lojong means, it doesn't mean mental training is an exceptionally poor translation. Okay, it's learning to think like a bodhisattva is called lojong. Okay, that's all. Bodhisattva thinking, I don't know, like that. And the Dundunma is a famous 7-point lojong. The tradition says that it existed for many generations and it was practiced secretly and no one wrote it down. And then finally in the 12th century, it was written down probably around 1150 by a geshe, a Kadampa geshe named Chikawa. Okay, and he wrote it down. And so here's the verse that Pabon Rinpoche is mentioning, okay? And I'll just read it to you. Dila yang nyamje ni le, nyam shak tu nyam su langwani, tonglen nipo pelmarjang. This is the famous Lojong text. And it says, nyamje ni le, if you're practicing equal rights, and what's the second step? Exchange. Equal rights, and then put yourself in the other person's shoes, okay? When he says you're practicing those two, okay? And then you want to do a meditation practice, nyamshak. So nyamshak, go down a little more. More. There you go, the big letters. Okay. I always try to make the font size bigger for the one he's quoting. Okay. So the second line here, nyam shaktu nyam sulawani, means here's a good practice you can do in samapati for $3. Samapati. Balanced meditation. Right? Did you say balanced? Okay. Between what and what? Between dullness and agitation.
Illness and agitation.
Okay, I'll give you $4. All right. By the way, it's always like this. You watch a guy crossing the Grand Canyon on a rope, you know, the big pole. He's not like just walking like that. He's going, you know. Or you watch a person's hands when they drive. They're always moving. In fact, you can tell if a driver is new because they don't move their hands. And they tend to go off the road. So, you know, a person who can talk to you and drive like this, you know, then even if it's into a wall, they can, that's an inside Diamond Mountain joke. Okay, so like this, okay? So when they say samapati, it's always like, it's like this. You're always, what do you call that? Correcting as you go, okay? Nyam shaktu nyam salawani. Then he says, tonglen nipo pelmarjang. Okay, try to alternate between tongwa and limba. Sometimes give, sometimes take. Okay, and get good at switching between the two. Get good at the switches. Okay, and then that's mastery of your mind. That's shinjang. Okay, all right. Next picture, you guys. They seem to have challenge to get pictures out of these guys. It's a gift. 43.9. Yeah. Okay. That's Daniel giving it. Okay. They're going to talk about Tongwa before Lenwa. What's that mean? Giving before taking. You have an option. You can take first, give later, or you can give first and take later. And it's a huge topic in the Lamrim. You know, there's a huge conversation for 1,000 years. And it's beautiful. It's nice to spend the day in those conversations. You know, personally, I like to spend a lot of the day listening to these conversations. Okay, it's very inspiring. Okay, way to spend your day, unless people interrupt. Okay. Here we go, the next paragraph, okay? Tongwa dan lemba nile ngama ngundu chepar chiyik mambale jungyang. Laklen la chima ngundu chashing. Tongwa mi chepar lemba chik to chepar room. Tongwa dan lemba, he says, look, there's giving and there's taking, okay? There's giving and there's taking, okay? A lot of chiiks, a lot of sources say that you should start with the giving. Okay, a lot of sources say that. Chungyang, Laklen la, but in actual practice, I think it's better if you start with the taking. Okay, who's he? Who's I? Pabonko Rinpoche. Okay. He says, I know people, I know there's an opinion that maybe you should do the giving first and then do the taking. I prefer doing the taking first and then doing the giving, okay? Which means which emotion before which emotion? Yeah, compassion before love, okay? Then he says, I would go so far to say that if you are meditating on any particular day and you never get to the Tongwa, it's okay. Okay? He says, I would even go so far to say that if you only do the taking people's problems and you never get to giving them happiness, it's okay with me. Okay? Pabonko Rinpoche. Okay? By the way, he's from the greatest monastery in the universe, which is Saramay. There's 12 or 13 colleges at Saramay. He's from the greatest college at the monastery, which is called Gyalrong, which is your college because you're my student and I'm Gyalrong. So you belong to the very house of the writer of this Lamrim. Okay? So stick up with your house and never think about the other houses. Okay? All right. Damba Dungyang Ma Langna Dewa Tangyang Mi Pembe. He says, look, and there's the famous example of a kid who falls off their bicycle, okay? You don't give them candy first and then put a Band-Aid on their knee, okay? First you fix the problem and then you give them candy. Because when you give a candy to a kid whose knee is bleeding, it doesn't taste that good to the kid, okay? So generally, it's a Lamrim principle that you have to take care of other people's hurt before you give them happiness, okay? And that it's logical, right? They can't enjoy the happiness if they're still hurting. Better to take away the hurt first and then give them happiness, okay? I think a lot of men tend to give their wives, try to give them happiness without trying to understand them or take away their pain first. They're just like, oh, look, I got you a mink coat, And she's like, yeah, well, I was hoping you'd just come home once in a while, and something like that. Okay, anyway. Then he gets into razors. Okay, you guys, you got a picture here for me? Yeah, and he's gonna make he wants you, when you do the taking, he wants you to do a heart operation. He wants you to go into the other person's chest and go find the blackness. And in Pabonko Rinpoche's version, you cut it with a razor. Okay? You imagine a straight razor, and you cut the blackness out, and you take it. Okay? So it has to be a surgical strike. You don't want to take out the heart. You're just taking out the blackness. So it's a very precision thing. Go in and slice off the blackness, and imagine that you are slicing it off. Okay, and if you're a man, a male. That's me getting a haircut like a couple of days ago. And this is my favorite barber. His name is Mr. Robbie. And he gives haircuts out on the street in San Diego. And so it's outside. He was a gang member in LA or something. And he learned to cut hair. And he's really good at it. Even someone who doesn't have hair will look like they have hair. And me and Veronica love to go there, and we love to hang out with him. And he plays really good R&B mixes, loud on the sidewalk, and you're in the sunlight, and it's really fun. But anyway, by the way, he's the best Miss MBA. She goes, he's the best entrepreneur I ever met. I can say that. He was living in his car, and now he owns like 3 beauty salons, 4 Mustangs, has a beautiful family. So anyway, he's actually one of the most successful entrepreneurs I know. And so anyway, one day, my wife said, give Michael a shave with one of those straight razors, And I'm like, no, that's okay. And he like lathers it up, and then he goes, eh. And when they get near the jugular, which is here, I get really nervous. Like, I don't know. Mr. Robbie says every man should have a straight razor shave once in his life. And I've done it once. And did you ever do it, Rob? No. It just feels too dangerous to me. So I sat through the whole thing. It takes about 45 minutes or something. And anyway, when I think of this tonglen, and I think of the lemba, the taking, I always think of Mr. Robbie. And so it's a surgical thing. You go to your heart, you go to the other person's heart, you go inside their body, you go to their heart, and you take the razor of your meditation and you slice off the darkness. Okay, got it? That's the Lamrim way. Okay. All right. De dungel tamche puti tasharwa. Puti means a razor blade, a straight razor. And by the way, they use them every day in the monastery because that's how you shave someone's head. And it's a favorite thing for monks to go out and sit in the sun, and your best friend shaves your head. And they lather it up, and they shave, and you talk about stuff. You talk about how mean is your scripture teacher and stuff like that. And it's a pleasant way to spend like a half hour with your friend. Okay. Dingal tamche puti dar sharwa means to shave. Dar ua nakpu nabar rangi ningar chensin la timbersam. Okay. Slice off their problems as a black light. Ua nakpo is kind of a contradiction of terms. It's a black light. Ua nakpu number in the form. Rangi Nyingar, take it to your heart and feed it to your Rang Chenzen. Feed it to your selfishness. You want to get something from other people? Here, take this. This is their suffering. Okay? You're always trying to get something out of other people, right? Yeah. You want to take care of yourself, right? Yeah. You want to take, right? Yeah. Okay, take their suffering, okay? Here you go. Okay? And it's very cool. The Tibetan is, feed it to your selfishness. You want something from other people? Here, take this. It's very beautiful. The language is very beautiful. Okay? Now he's going to describe, and I'd like you to practice this meditation today, okay? So this is your homework assignment up in the valley. We have a special valley here, which is dedicated to retreat. And by the way, we have a deal with the fort, which is a deal with the federal government and the county government. We cannot build more cabins there, and legally. And so it will always be a retreat valley, and there'll always be quiet, those beautiful cabins there. And they are really beautiful. So you're going to practice it today, okay? All right. What kind of critter we got out there today? I don't know what that is. Okay. What's that, Jiggy? Oh, it's a quail. Okay. All right. Next picture, you guys. This is a book. It was one of the first books I ever worked on. It was about the Wheel of Life. It's about a sutra that tells the story of when the Buddha first painted the Wheel of Life. And I translated it with my teacher, I don't know, 45 years ago. Okay, and if you knew Robert Lacey, I don't think you guys knew him. He input the first book for ALL. He typed the first book. It was the catalog to the Kongyo. He typed it in a tiny apartment in the West Village, very dangerous apartment, and so he did the drawing. And this was also the first time that Tibetan was ever done on a computer, printed on a computer, was this book. And it was printed on a dot matrix, a laser printer at Bell Laboratories in New Jersey, $1 million laser printer. We snuck in at night and used it. So anyway, we're going to work through the realms, okay? In the middle of the demon's hands are the 5 realms of existence, okay? Sometimes drawn as 6, all right? Traditionally, the ancient instruction is Changapa, which means make it in 5 parts, Panchagata. And Sugang has translated an unbelievable text about this wheel. And that's coming out very soon. And we're just doing the last parts of it. But this is a good way to visualize the realms, okay? And we'll talk more about it tomorrow, or sorry, in the next class. But these are the realms of existence inside the wheel, okay? So we're going to be working through the realms. And there's a wonderful treatment in Sugeng's book. Sugeng finished this book 2 years ago. We've been cleaning it for 2 years. And he went on to a very difficult commentary by Vasubandhu, which no one has ever translated. And if you know Vasubandhu, he wrote the Abhidharma Kosha, which is the mother book of all Abhidharma school. This is the first of the 4 schools, okay? The lowest of the 4 Buddhist schools. And Stanley's got a 26-year project. He's 6 years through. That's why we chose a young one. He was young at the time. So we're working through that book. But Vasubandhu was actually a closet mind-only school. He was actually one of the greatest thinkers of the mind-only school. So he wrote an explanation of the Wheel of Life from the mind-only school. And he's the only person who ever did that. And we found it. John Brady's project found it. And it's long and it's extremely difficult. So that's what Sugeng is chewing on now, like a piece of hard leather. Okay. So we'll be going into that meditation, how to do the taking of the suffering. And rather than doing it here at Diamond Mountain, or in this retreat online, rather than doing it with one other person, we're going to start out with the 5 realms, okay? We're going to do it for each realm, and that takes some explanation, okay? And that's why you have to tune in for the next show in half an hour. So please take a nice break, and we'll see you guys in half an hour.